Since when is skinny so bad? I'm not down with that fact. Hey guys, it's Katie, your host of Faith at Work, and man, last week was a whirlwind / hurricane / tornado, and so we're so sorry that we weren't here. We had Milton, and before that we had Helene, and now we pretty much have Nadine coming our way, but we are able to film today, so excited to be back. We actually did evacuate, and if anybody is wanting to donate for the hurricane, we're going to put some links below because I know that the damage that was caused from Helene is horrific. It's unbelievable. My brother lives in North Carolina, and he actually went with the Samaritan group to help, and it's just, they can barely get the people that are wanting to help on the ground. So we do have links to that, and this isn't going to be about the hurricane, but we know that a lot of people are displaced, so we just are praying for all the people who are hurting, that are needing things, and if you know people who are in need, we do have some resources, so please feel free to comment. We had an awesome episode last week. I don't know if you caught it, but we were talking about abortion, and man, it got some comments, and it got us really rolling and thinking of some new things and some people we're going to bring on to give their stories, and that's just going to be awesome. So we will have a follow-up episode for that and some comments and links and things like that. And this week, we are going to talk about fitness. So whoever knows me for real estate doesn't know me for fitness, and whoever knows me from fitness is like, you do real estate? So I'll give you guys a little snippet into my background in fitness. I've pretty much done it all. So when I first came down to Naples, Florida, I was working for Toll Brothers, and I was working as a middle manager. So if anybody has worked for a salary, they know that it's supposed to be like 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, but really it's more like 6:55 to 10:55 p.m. That's pretty much the schedule I was on, trying to prove myself and get started in the construction industry here in Naples. And to get my fitness in, I was actually going to a 5 o'clock spin class. So some people are like, spin's not fitness, whatever. It's like, it was the start of my journey from college. I was in fitness a little bit. I always played soccer, but then I was going to a spin class. So 5 a.m, one day, the fitness instructor didn't show up. So there were like 17 of us in there. It's 5 a.m. I don't know if you've been around fitness people at 5 a.m. when the music's not right or someone doesn't show up or the gym, like, half the time we'd be waiting and the person who's supposed to open the gym wouldn't come. We didn't have keys. It was like not going well. So I decided to just go up there. I put in a playlist and I taught the spin class. So from that point, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to teach fitness. This is so much fun. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be getting up at 4 something in the morning anyways. I might as well get paid to sweat. So that's how I started my fitness industry. Is I actually started thinking, oh, if I'm going to work out, I might as well get paid for that hour. So I got my my spin instructor or whatever, and I started teaching fitness before I'd go to work. Well, fast forward to when the crash happened here. So in 2005, 2006, building was amazing. 2007, I start my own company. 2008, crash, right? So Naples was a housing market, which many of you know about, and especially here, Toll Brothers, we were just like writing down 2,000 people's names and just calling them and saying, hey, you've got to buy this house tomorrow. And they had to show up or they wouldn't get the house. So this totally crashed, and I was like needing to shift. So instead of, not doing anything, I started teaching more classes. I started teaching 8 or more classes a day of physical fitness classes, body pump, body attack, spin, stretching. I did like some classes at some of the country clubs here, and I started working at the Ritz. I was working all over the place. So that was like my start in fitness, was basically transitioning from making over $100,000 a year with Toll Brothers to just working $20 an hour. I got myself up to $80 an hour, $100 an hour, and started teaching fitness. And so in that journey, I was, going to other people's classes to learn and thinking, if this person is doing, I know you guys have done this, you've judged, right? Like, I think skinny is a superpower because it makes people think like, what is that person doing? It's just like Jesus. When you have Jesus, people are thinking, gosh, what is it about that person that I love, that I want to be part of? Like, why am I attracted to that person? I believe it's like different things, but it's the same concept. It's like this moment where you're like, gosh, like I want to know what that person's doing. That's something that I want to do or be part of. Same thing with skinny. I would be up there teaching. I was very like conscious of my diet, and I was dialed in like abs, wearing the sports bra to teach. I can't imagine doing that now. I'd be so embarrassed. But I started doing that, and I started thinking like of all the other people who were teaching fitness, teaching 5-6 classes a day, and they weren't thin or they weren't skinny or they weren't in great shape. And I started really focusing on the real deal of fitness, which is you are either eating more calories than you think, or you're working out way less and burning way less calories than you think. So it isn't all about calories in, calories out. I know that as you get older, I know that I'm over 40 now, and like hormones changed, and I had to do some things with my hormones. I've done everything. But when you are first getting started, you're in your 20s, your 30s, and you are working out and you're like, gosh, like why is the scale never moving? It really is about calories. It's about the fact that you went to a spin class. I would be killing myself up there. I'm talking 60-minute spin classes back in the day, from the start to the end, going crazy, sweating, like literally dripping sweat everywhere. I would be lucky if I was burning 500, 600 calories. Lucky. And people would come to a spin class and think that they're burning 1,000 calories because they heard that somewhere or they read that somewhere. It is just not true. When you're thinking about mileage even, someone's like, oh, well, I walked 4 miles so I can eat this. Okay. Walking 4 miles, I mean, you're lucky if you burned 400 calories. So you've got to really think about that the one thing that you got at Starbucks with the whipped cream, you're 400 calories right there. So you just drank one little drink that equaled your 4-mile walk, and then you're still eating different things during that whole day thinking like, oh, I'm good. So I really want you to focus on fitness, but also food. So fitness and food are like hand in hand. I had I owned CrossFit gym. So here's my story. So I went to work at all these different places. I was working out 8 hours a day. And then somebody said, come to this CrossFit gym with me. It was after I had done like 8 classes that day. And I'm like, all right, cool. I had tons of energy still. I went to the CrossFit gym, did a workout, and I went on that night and was like, I want to teach CrossFit. That'd be so fun. And it would get me out of where I'm physically working out for 8 hours. I could actually coach instead of actually train. So I was transitioning into that. So anyways, the next time I was in the CrossFit gym, the guy came over. He's like, hey, have you ever thought about coaching CrossFit? And I was like, oh my gosh, I took my first class last night. I love it. I'm signed up for the level 1, whatever. Long story not short, I ended up partnering with people and owning CrossFit gyms, and then came up with a concept called Skinny Fit, which was like a higher rep, lower weight, and all these guys were doing Skinny Fit. So I'd have this like purple and pink board downtown Chicago, and I had like all these little cute workouts written up, and then these muscle dudes, like CrossFit competitors on the regional team and everything, would have my board in the back of the CrossFit gym, and they'd be doing the Skinny Fit workout. I was like, okay, I'm not going to get guys to wear my cute little Skinny Fit tank top, but I can create a concept and open a separate gym that could get men, women, and everybody who doesn't want to necessarily do CrossFit. You didn't want to do a 1 rep max. If you're not familiar with CrossFit, it's awesome. If you're not competitive in it, I think it's even better because it gives you that sense of home. It gives you that sense of community. You can join a CrossFit gym and instantly you're part of a family, and you have something that you can accomplish every single day. So I think that CrossFit is amazing. If you're a super competitive person and you're not willing to put the time in, you're probably going to get injured just for the fact that when people push themselves doing a modality that they're not good at or that they haven't trained at, it's going to cause some issues. So I would say be careful with what you join, but in general, I think CrossFit is a great start, especially when someone's just trying to look for like a family or a community. But beyond CrossFit, I created something called Sweat. So I started opening Sweat studios, which was basically a CrossFit. You had a workout of the day, and you had treadmills, rowers, and all the things you do in CrossFit. We did a workout of the day every day, and it was amazing. And so that was my start in that form of fitness. I also trained for a figure show. So figure show is a whole nother animal, right? Like, so when I started figure, it's all about the diet. It really taught me the lesson in health and feeling good and longevity of like your actual body composition is it's all about food. Of course I did workouts. Of course I was doing like low end cardio. I was walking, I was actually walking like 8 miles a day. I wasn't allowed to run anymore. It was like I was burning too much muscle. So I was walking, and I want to tell you the story because I was doing a natural figure show, and all of these women were training for the show, and we were all at the same gym, and I was all excited. And it's kind of a cool thing where you're like, you don't know where to get your suit. There's certain suit you wear. You don't know where to get your shoes. There's certain shoes. The tanning, like it's an unbelievable industry that is very hard, and it's an amazing way to really train yourself to be diligent and to be very like in tune with your body. When I say in tune with your body, I'm talking like no carbohydrates. Like I became one of the least smart people I've ever met. I'd actually be walking around. One time I went on a run, bike, walk kind of thing. I went to park my bike, and I forgot my lock. So I went and bought a lock, and I set the code, and I locked my bike up, and then I went for the walk, and I got back to my bike, and I didn't know my code. Like if you know me, you know I'm actually pretty intelligent and can remember a lot of things. I couldn't remember the code that I had just set, which is crazy. I mean, you guys know, like, think right now, you probably have 2 or 3 codes in your brain. Those are the codes you usually use. Those have to be the codes I used, and I still could not get my bike open. I had to walk 8 miles home. So that was a very low time in my brain cells because I wasn't doing it right. Maybe I was just doing it a certain way. I'm sure there's plenty of people who could teach me a lot about being in a bodybuilding show and keeping your brain functioning at a normal level these days. I know that when I was 28 and I was doing this, I didn't have that training. I was low, I was depleted, and I was definitely lacking some brain function. But the big thing that happened is I was so ready for the show. I felt ready. My trainer thought I was ready. And I went to the last little practice with the girls where we were putting on our suits and kind of running around. And the older ladies who were doing bodybuilding for years, they said, Katie, they sat me down. It was like a real moment. They were like, we just want you to know that we don't want you to embarrass yourself. And we don't think you're ready. And we don't think you should do the show. And I was just like, I can't even explain to you because first of all, you're in a whole state. I mean, you're only focused on your body. It is like dysmorphia times 10 if you already have a body issue. I would be at the gas station and see people go into the gas station and be thinking, like, even though I don't eat gas station food, I don't know about you, the last time you grabbed food at the gas station, but I'd be thinking like, oh my gosh, that person could go in there and eat anything that they want. They could just go in there, buy something and eat it, and you can't. So there's just this like really weird thing that happens. Like you look at everybody like envious, like, oh my God, you get to eat food. Like you could eat right now. And people are like, you're crazy. And you kind of are. So anyways, they tell me I shouldn't do the show. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it. My mom's in town. We're doing it, right? So we walk into this place and there's one trophy, like for the whole show, like for all the levels, there's just this one girl and she's like this big and she's gold and she's so cool. And I'm like, my mom looks over at me and she's like, there's only one trophy, Katie. And I'm like, yeah, I got to get the trophy. She's like, she just was like depleted right then. She's like, there's only one trophy. She's like, she was so nervous that I wasn't going to get it. Anyways, long story not short, I won the show. I won the show, you guys. Like I put the work in. I believed in myself. I went out there. I smiled. I did my thing and I won the show. And the girls afterwards were like, oh, I guess they weren't looking for muscle, you know, like they totally like downplayed the win, and that's fine because it was something that I had to do for myself. And I know that if I wouldn't have won that show, I still would have been proud of the work that I put in, but it's obviously a super high when you win a show like that and you're like, okay, I did it. I'm done. Never doing that again. So I've done that. I've done paleo because of CrossFit. I did paleo. I got my mom on paleo. My mom lost 25 pounds. She felt amazing. We were all cooking everything perfect. Then I found intermittent fasting. I did intermittent fasting. It worked. So here's what I want you to know about food and fitness. Anything that you do consistently will work. If it's a concept that has been proven and you do it consistently, it will work. If you do it for 2-3 weeks, you lose the initial weight and then you quit doing it because you plateau or you're not losing as much weight, it won't work. You have to do it. You have to commit to it and you have to do it continuously. I'm not talking 21 days. I'm talking like 90 days plus. If you want real results, you have to put in real work. I'd have people come in and they're like, I just want to be 110 pounds. I'm like, what percentage of the population is 110 pounds? Well, low, not a lot, right? Well, what do you think you have to do to get there? Because if that's an actual goal of yours, you're going to have to do a lot of extra things that people aren't regularly doing in order to get a result that not a lot of people get. Whether that's 120, 130, whatever your number is, whatever your weight is that you're like, gosh, I felt best at that weight. And the saddest thing about your body, for especially women, I think, but I know men experience this as well, is you'll have these times where you're working hard, you actually are so disappointed in your body, and then a year later, you're 10, 15, 20 pounds bigger, and you're wishing you were that person last year. And then you're like, okay, but you're wishing you were that person last year, but when you were that person or that weight, you weren't happy. So happiness is going to come. It's a superpower. Your skinny is not my skinny, okay? Your skinny is whatever makes you feel literally powerful. There's something about walking into your closet and having every single thing in your closet fit or be too big. Like, can I get an amen that would feel amazing? There's something that happens when you have that power over your clothes, over yourself, over when you walk into a room and there isn't like, oh, you've got that little thing hanging, or, oh, I'm not going to hold my arm a certain way because it's going to look a certain way. I've experienced that all. And I'm beyond that now because I have decided that it's not worth it. Like, the one thing that I used to see was skinny feels better than that tastes, right? So skinny feels better than anything tastes. Any little thing that you're like, oh, I'm just going to have that little treat or that little donut or whatever. Like, I'm telling you, your version of skinny feels and tastes better than that. It's going to be better. And I'll tell you another thing. You're never going to regret the days that you focus on your health and you feel great. Meaning, there's always a thing where you're like, oh, I'm going to have the brownie because it's my birthday. Or like you're giving yourself like, oh, well, I had a hard week, so I'm going to eat this. Or I worked really hard, so I'm going to eat this. It's like you're giving yourself a reward. Your reward is not eating that thing. There is nothing better than having an opportunity to eat something that's going to make you feel bad or make you gain weight and saying no to that thing. So please try that. Okay, so that's my qualification in fitness. I have been through it all, done it all. I've sold gyms, worked at gyms. I've worked in everything. I've tried all the diets. I've done all the fads. I've done the cleanses, whatever. You need to find something that works for you. We're going to do a little challenge. I used to run all these challenges. I was with Isogenics for a while, and I would do a workout of the day. I'd post what the workout was. We might get into that a little bit and help people with like the actual physical fitness and form and things like that. But for now, I know something that will change your life, and it is simple. You ever heard the keep it simple, stupid kiss? This will change your life is just increasing your motion. So if you are in, we have a little challenge that if you're starting this, it could be any day. So you can start this any day, 2 days from now. So whenever you're watching this, 2 days from right now, you're going to start this challenge. Meaning for the next 2 days, you're not going to do anything extra. You're just going to watch how many steps you get. So for 2 days straight, you're just going to, don't try to get more steps. Don't try to get less steps. See where you're at. Okay. If you are getting between 5 and 10,000 steps, so if you're getting less than 5,000 steps, your challenge is to get 10,000 steps a day, okay? Most people will find that they're getting between 5 and 10,000. If you're getting between 5 and 10,000 steps, you're going to go for 15,000 steps a day. If you're getting over 10,000 steps, you're going for 20 for 30 days straight. Okay. This is a challenge that we're going to actually like be there for you, be accountable with you, and actually pay you a gift card to somewhere close to you. So this is wherever you're at, a local favorite coffee shop or whatever. We're going to give you a $50 gift card if you actually finish the 30 days of whatever your step challenge is. Okay. So this step challenge is no joke. But the cool thing about it is it's all relative. It's all starting from where you are now to where you want to get. Speaking of starting where you are now, Val, are you in?
Yes, I am one of those people who does not do a lot of movement if I'm not incredibly intentional about it. I was telling Katie before we were shooting that right now my step count is in the under 5K category, which is embarrassing. But literally, like in college, like years ago, I would get in my car, I would go to class, I would sit in class, go home, maybe watch a movie, read a book, and I would get like 800 steps a day. It's ridiculous.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and it's like honestly embarrassing to even say, but we're all starting from somewhere, and getting to 10K for me would be a huge deal for 30 days. I've gotten to 10K a bunch in my life, but not consistently. So getting that consistency, it would absolutely be a life changer.
The consistency is exactly, okay, it's like you said, it's like the first time a couple people do it, they're gonna be like, oh, this was so easy, right? Like they're gonna hit 10,000. And I'm telling you, it's in those times that it's hard that it is worth it. Please push through. This is not like, we're not asking you to do anything crazy here. We're asking you to just take a minute and do something for yourself that will change your life, that is so simple. And it's just even you talking yourself into getting up when you don't want to get up. Like when you have 2,000 steps left and you have to do something, I'm telling you that that will be the start of something that shifts in your mindset that will change your life. So we're hoping that you join us on this step challenge. And I'm actually really excited that I'm in like the total different caliber of steps. So I have a different goal than Val, but we both have the same goal to hit. So you can do this just like Val can. And when we do bigger challenges, we'll do bigger prizes. I've got one coming for January, which we'll kind of preview today, but we'll get more into over the next couple months preparing for a January 1st. Of course, everyone starts on January 1st. Well, guess what? You might as well start the one with us and we might as well pay you for it. So if you get those steps, here's what happens. If you're getting 11,000 steps a day, you're like, oh, I can get 20. You'll get it a couple times, but then there's that day. There's that day that's going to come and you're going to make excuses. And you're going to be like, well, I can't do it today because I don't feel good. It's raining outside. It's, it's my birthday. It's this person, this happened at work, or my dog got sick. There is no excuses in a challenge of getting the steps. And that's the whole point of it. If you actually treated your fitness, your goals, your family, if you treated faith, if you treated everything like there was no excuse that made it okay not to do it, you would have massive results because action creates results, not just thinking about it, not planning on it, not doing it 2 days, 3 days. I'm talking 30 days, okay? So we are going to challenge you that you're going to start that. Every day that you don't do 20,000, 15,000, 10,000, the next day you start at 0. You can do this endlessly, but I'm telling you, it will change your life. If you're going for 20,000 steps, even as someone who's super active, sometimes I get just 25,000 steps just because I'm doing tennis, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. The days that I don't have tennis or I don't have an organized thing where I'm going for a walk or a run, I got to wake up early. I got to go outside, or I've got to get on my treadmill, or I've got to go to the gym. I have to. If I don't, I have to get 7 miles after dinner. I mean, it's a whole, it'll literally change the setup of your life. And I did it with my husband the other day. I did it for years, like 20,000 step challenges, and he never did it. He finally did it, and it created this cool thing with us where it's like, hey, we got to get up. We got to get up. We got to hit the gym. Hey, I'll watch the dogs. You get on the treadmill. You watch them after. We started creating a lifestyle around movement. And I'm telling you, when we got done with that challenge, it makes you like crave it again, because you know how good it feels to move your body. So because we are faith-based, I want to bring this back to the Bible. And something that I want to read is 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price. So you must honor God with your body. That doesn't say you need to be a size 0. That doesn't say you need to be this or you need to be that or you need to do this much. It's saying you need to honor God through protecting your body and your temple that belongs to God. So bringing it all back to this verse just really reminds me how important it is that I don't just think about me. So in everything in life, right? Everything is better when you're focused on other people or the greater good of God. So if you're just focused on like your body fat and like really in bodybuilding, you're so focused on you that you literally, at least for me, when I was in bodybuilding, I didn't think about anybody else. It was all about me. And when you bring it back to scripture and you think about like your body is for the good of God. So everything that he's prepared you for, everything that I'm able to do, the capabilities of my lungs, how fast I can run, what I'm able to share with people, it's all for the glory of God. So if you treat your body and you eat things that make you healthy and you do things that make you your best, it's all focusing on the best that you can be with this one chance that you have on earth to glorify God. So I love that you were here for the fitness talk, and I think it's most important that you join us. Join us on this fitness challenge. If you're like, oh my God, you're crazy, this many steps or that many steps is easy, I want to hear about it because we're going to keep creating new things. We'll either have a new challenge. The 75 hard is what we're going to focus on the next time I talk because we're going to be gearing up for January 1st. 75 hard is hard if you actually do it. Just like everything in life, you guys, you're going to get out what you put in, and how you do everything is how you do one thing. So if you're always quitting or you're always making excuses, this is your chance to change that. You are in control of changing the way that you treat fitness, faith, family, everything. You get to make the decision every day to be your best. We're here to help you do that. We'd love to see you here next time. And until then, stay elevated.